What up, everybody? It's your boy Jay and Maddie from Yankee and the Brit Sports Talk. There is some crazy shit going on in the NFL today. We got Aaron Rodgers staying in Green Bay. We got Russell Wilson on the move. We got Calvin Ridley suspended for at least a year. And some tags have been dropped. But to me, and I'm just going to start with this, Maddie, you probably seen it coming, but Cowboys do not tag Randy Gregory.
Yeah, well, that means they're going to tag Dalton Schultz. Or it means they have tagged Dalton Schultz already. And it's strange. So they're freeing up this cap money with extending Dak. Not extending, but reorganizing Dak's contract. So they're sorting out this cap money. So is there potential for Randy Gregory to get that cap money from there, to re-sign him without needing to franchise tag him and things like that? Like he's probably not worth the franchise tag money when we've only got one franchise tag and we've got that kind of shit to hand around. I really like Randy Gregory and I want him back next season. I don't think we can lose D-Law and Randy Gregory. I think pick one or the other. Like if you're going to lose one, then pick one or the other and sort something out from there in terms of who we've got going forward in terms of Randy Gregory and D-Law. But the Cowboys news is not the biggest news today. And it's very difficult to decide which one is the biggest news today because they're both huge.
Well, Maddie, I will say I think they're going to take that negotiating window to see what other teams offer Gregory, and I think they'll get something done. And I feel like Gregory is one of the few players who really feels a connection because they stood through some crazy shit. Also, other teams got to be a little leery if he's going to stay out of trouble, where the Cowboys know him better than anybody else. But before we get to the big story, guys, if you want to support the work, buy us a cup of coffee. All right.
I'm forgetting that's mirrored. I'm pointing
that's all right. Well, like when I go to point to you, it's always backwards. So I'll end up doing So I think the most surprising, biggest news is Russell Wilson. But I think the biggest news for the team itself was Green Bay keeping Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, who are living in a hole at the minute in terms of the NFL and social media, or you've just come back in from work or whatever, Aaron Rodgers has just re-signed with Green Bay and you're thinking, oh no, if you're the Denver Broncos. But actually, holy shit, Russell Wilson becomes a Denver Bronco. I find Russell Wilson as a Denver Bronco actually more exciting than Aaron Rodgers is a Denver Bronco in a really strange way. Because Aaron Rodgers is still really exciting in Green Bay, whereas Russell Wilson was kind of getting buried by the rebuild that they're going through in Seattle.
And I'm going to bring this up later on for another point, but I think the Seahawks did the right thing because I'm a Badger fan. Everybody knows my feelings on Rusty Wilson. I love the guy, right? I think he's a class act. I think he's above average quarterback. All of that. But what has he done since the Legion of Boom? And so if you're Seattle and you're looking at that and you get 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a 5th, Noah Fant, Harris, and Locke. You get Drew Lock. Now, I'm not sold on Drew Lock, but whatever. He's a bridge to whatever you figure out. The only thing I'm going to say is where Seattle fucked up for me is they should have did this last year when there was 8 draftable quarterbacks.
Yeah, definitely. They missed out on their opportunity to get the real big haul last year, but they were thinking, well, Russell Wilson was putting up ridiculous numbers the season before, so you kind of understand it. You kind of get it from their point, but they should have probably put it up last year, but they've not. They've done it this year, and I think it's a great play for both teams. Now, Russell Wilson is a generational talent in my personal view. I think Russell Wilson's absolutely awesome. But I do agree with you. What's he done in the Legion of Boom? What's he done since the Legion of Boom? And with that, I've just got to say, well, what has Seattle Seattle haven't really put up any defense for a while either.
That's my point, though. It's a good time. That's my point. Yeah. It's a good time to get all that haul for him. I just wish they'd have did it a year earlier for quarterback reasons. But I think it was a perfect time. It ain't Russell Wilson. It's not that Russell Wilson can't play. It's that your team sucks balls and it doesn't matter if you have Russell Wilson at this point.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. Whereas Denver, and it's a great move for Denver though. Like we were saying, like this is the kind of move that you need. This is a Super Bowl play now. That's their option. They're trying to get to a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. They have to make it. That's it now. That's where they got to go.
Well, Russell Wilson is young enough though, where he was probably the better. Because I wonder if this is the same package that they offered Green Bay for Rodgers. You know what I mean? But Russell Wilson's younger, so that's probably plays better in their favor. I got to ask though. I know there's people saying it's not true, but the biggest names in reporting are saying Rodgers is signing a 4-year, $200 million contract with $153 million guaranteed. This is just me guessing where I think the argument's going to be is I think it's going to be a 6-year contract with all the money paid in the first 4 years with void years at the back end so that every year they can keep freeing up salary cap, pushing it to those back 2 years.
Yo, it's a $200 million contract, but it's $150 million guaranteed. So they only have to spread $50 million over 4 years. Like the 153, that fully guaranteed money doesn't count against the cap, does it?
They're lowering his cap hit this year by doing it.
Yeah.
You know, with that. So there's going to be a year where there's going to be a big pop in the cap. Hence, I'll use i.e. Daniil Hunter, 26 million cap hit right now. But that contract was worded with 2 years at the end because they knew this year they would come in, give him the bonus, spread it out over those extra 2 years. Then he's only 13 million hit for the next 2 years, right? I think that's kind of what they're going to do for Rodgers because there's going to be a balloon payment at some point in that contract to lower it this year. So I think they're going to add a couple fake Fugazi years at the end of the contract.
Yeah, and it's like how close are we coming to the end of the cycle of this team? So this iteration of the Green Bay Packers and what we've got, surely they're going to have to redraft sooner or later. There's some big payments and stuff coming up to some of these guys. Some of them are getting on. Let's face it. So surely we're in the last iteration of this team. So Rodgers might have to play with a few rookies at the end of the year. But are we sure that Rodgers is going to make it 4, 5, 6 years? Like, no, probably not. So I'm four tops. Like that's it, surely. Because he's not Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady is. I live and breathe this game, but Aaron Rodgers lives and breathes this game, buys other shit. Like Aaron Rodgers enjoys his fucking life outside of this game, whereas Tom Brady seems to. I'm sure he does enjoy his life outside the game, but he enjoys it a whole lot more in it. So, yeah, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, you kind of sit there and think, like you look at the numbers, and then you actually look at the wording of the contract, and you think, "I'm just not going to handicap the Packers as much as you think it would."
Right. And I agree. The question comes down to it for me. I hear this argument. Oh, he can't play another 3-4 years. I think he can play that without a problem and be one of the top quarterbacks. Does he want to? So that I agree with that. Yeah. So I think we're on the same page. It's when does he decide he's done, right? Like, but for him coming back to Green Bay, I have to bring this up. It changes everything for Minnesota for me. And there's reports that just came out. 3 teams have made formal offers for Kirk Cousins. It's Miami, New Orleans, and Tampa. The question now comes, like, are the Vikings, are you going to rebuild? Are you going to trade him? What are the offers? But it almost makes, well, it does make Kirk Cousins the best available quarterback right now, unless you want to argue Jimmy G. But I still think I think the 49ers would swap him in a heartbeat.
Kirk's way better than Jimmy G. Kirk's more mobile than Jimmy G. He's, but like, actually being available is a skill. And when was the last time Kirk missed a serious game?
The best ability is availability, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like when was the last time Kirk Cousins missed a game?
Not for the Vikings.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Jimmy G's
COVID. He missed one because of COVID this year, but not injury. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, there's no fucking fault. But yeah, exactly. So, and that's the only time we've questioned his availability or morals towards, like, his morale towards a football team as well. The fact that he missed it because of COVID. Kirk Cousins, you could do so much worse than Kirk Cousins. Like, seriously. Like, he's the best available quarterback that's on this market now. And there's 4 teams that have put their hat into the ring to try and get him. Or 3 3.
Well, and that depends what you think about if the Panthers really called about him. I think they called. I don't think they made an offer. I think they said, "What do you want if you were going to
Yeah.
get rid of him?" type of thing. So for me, as the Vikings fan, right? Unless it's Miami, and we'll get to that in a second, so throw them aside. I am not trading Cousins for less than 2 firsts because of what everybody else has been getting for Matthew Stafford, for Russell Wilson, for all of these people, and quarterbacks drive the league. So I'm not getting rid of him for anything less than 2 firsts. You come with 2 firsts, then we can talk. Unless you're Miami, you throw Tua in, give me a first and a fourth, and maybe some backup player, and we're on our way.
It's just the cap hit with Cousins.
Well,
Like,
you
you
got to
trade away the
resign
cap
him.
hit.
You have to resign him. If you trade for him on his last year, the teams are going to resign him. So my guess is, say that the Vikings work out a deal with Miami, they're going to let Miami and the agent work out an extension before the trade is finalized. But you would think that trade's got to be final by next Sunday because of free agency starting on Monday.
Yeah, definitely. It's more. So with the Stafford Jared Goff trade, they probably could have got more for that. They probably could have got more for Stafford, but they were also giving away Goff's cap hit. So maybe with the cap hit, you kind of say, "I'll take 1 and a second," something like that. Like if you get 1 first, 1 second, and a fourth, or something like that, then maybe you start listening. Just maybe, because you get the cap hit off.
You got to replace him, and that's the thing. So at that point, if you're going to try to lowball me, I'm just going to resign him.
Yeah. Or 1, take a first, a second, fourth, tank all season, and then get Bryce Young coming out of the draft next year.
And I really hope if we trade him, I don't mind taking like a quarterback, but they better not do it in the first round unless they trade back 3 times and accumulate a ton of picks to justify it. But I really hope Kawisi's not a lot like Trader Rick. I am so sick of trading back in the draft as a fan. It drives me freaking insane. So I hope we just either move forward or pick where you're at. You know what I mean? But so that's the big thing now is, are other teams going to call about Kirk now because of the movement? Do we see more movement? What happens with Jimmy G? I mean, we were just talking yesterday. It was either going to be dead or it was going to be a lot, and we're still at the same thing because only 2 quarterbacks switch places, right? So we still don't know if there's going to be a lot of movement, but it makes it look like there's a possibility.
Yeah, no, this shit's alive now because the Steelers need to pick up somebody now that Rodgers isn't moving, unless they're going to stick with Mason Rudolph.
I would go with Dwayne Haskins over Rudolph, but okay.
Yeah, Haskins or Rudolph. Like what? Why? Like when there's Marcus Mariota, Mitch Trubisky, guys like that on the market. Mitch Trubisky is a decent quarterback. He's better than both of those guys. He's proven that he's better. He's won a playoff game. He's better than both of those guys.
If you give enough offer, maybe you could get, not the Steelers, but if you're a needy team and you can give a good enough offer, maybe you can get Baker Mayfield away from the Browns, because I don't think they're 100% sold.
I think you could pry Baker Mayfield away from the Browns. I think you could get Tua out of Miami if you gave enough. But it's Deshaun Watson still there. Deshaun Watson's still up in the air. What's going to happen? The team that I feel crazy for is the Washington Commanders. Sick as a dog, surely, if you're the Commanders, because they would have given up that much. Surely they were giving up that much.
Do you call for Cousins? Would Cousins even go back to Washington?
That's what I was just thinking. That's what I was just thinking. Now the best quarterback on the market is your ex-quarterback who you treated like shit. So, what? Surely the Commanders are sick as a dog.
If you're sold that Kellen Mond is your future, I'm okay with whatever. If you're not, the only team I would fuck with if I'm the Vikings is Miami. And Tua's coming over in that trade, you know. But I'll take a 1, a 4, and Tua. Like, you know, I'd even take a 1 and Tua, but you got to throw that back end pick in there so for negotiations and whatever. But I want Tua in that trade. I actually wouldn't even cry if we got Tua 2 seconds and a third.
Think that highly of Tua?
No, I think he's got absolute. I think there's we haven't seen the best of Tua, and there's absolutely talent there. Can a guy like Kevin O'Connell get it from him? Sure. But at least if you bring in Tua, I got a young guy on my team that we can try to move forward with. If you're not sold on Kellen Mond, I don't want to bring in a retread. I love Teddy. I don't want to bring Teddy back. I don't want to bring some old quarterback in to be in the middle of the pack. You know what I mean? And Tua played pretty well for 7 fucking games in Miami last year.
Yeah, definitely, and he definitely has a skill set that you can exploit. Like it's his ceiling's not very high, but he's Mac Jones level. Like, you know what I mean? Like, ceiling's not very high, but he has a skill set that you can work with, definitely. Tua Tagovailoa.
And he had a coach that hated him. That can't help.
Yeah, definitely not. Who's the best quarterback in the AFC West?
Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Ranking the quarterbacks in the AFC West is mad.
Mahomes, like Herbert, Wilson, Carr.
Wow. Herbert over Wilson.
All right. And I'm a fan of Derek Carr, and he might pass with this offense to Josh McDaniels. He might surpass Russell Wilson. But I am so high on what Justin Herbert is going to be from what I've already seen. It's no slight on Russell Wilson, but I think he's as good as him right now, if not better, and he's only going to get better.
It's just an absolutely insane division. That division is going to be absolutely legit. Like, they could get 3 playoff teams from that division now. Like, easy. Three playoff teams from that division, 100%. They're incredible. And
the AFC is nasty.
The NFC is the easiest one. Just both of our teams, just put a half decent team together and you should get through the NFC.
Yeah, you should be in the playoffs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think what I found out after the season, a lot of what the Vikings' problem was behind the scenes with the front office, and the coach didn't get along. As much as I banged the drum for Zimmer, I found out he was being probably a bigot ass for 2 years, was losing the team, even though the leaders portrayed that he wasn't very well to the public, which I respect the organization for not letting that shit out into the public. But you can't play for a guy you don't like. So say any other coach was there, the Vikings probably squeak into the playoffs last year. So you're right. And then you guys should walk through the least again, because you're the best team in that division. Now we have Aaron Rodgers, but if you keep Kirk Cousins, you probably had a shot at the playoffs. Even with the guy like Tua, you probably have a shot at the playoffs.
It's just what in the NFC now, what quarterbacks do you come up against? Aaron Rodgers. Who's the second best quarterback in the NFC?
I'm trying to go through in my head really quick. The East, because you got Kirk and Dak. I'll put them in there now. Stafford.
Stafford's the second best quarterback in the NFC. That's what I'm saying. Matthew Stafford is the second best quarterback in the NFC.
I just went through the NFC South in my head, and do you realize how every team there has a quarterback issue?
The NFC South is an absolute hot mess at the minute. And if one of those teams, that's what I'm saying. So the Saints have put their hat in the ring.
Wait. Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott just jumped to the top of the NFC quarterback lists under guys like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the NFC is just, we just haven't noticed it because we haven't had to think about how weak it is, because now another top one is gone and Tom Brady's gone. So what was it? It was probably Tom, Rodgers, Wilson, Stafford, and then.
Right. Then you're jumping down tiers and listing off different guys, and you could argue orders. And that was a good point, though. I didn't even think of that until you just said it, because I so caught up in all of the news today. But wow.
I think Rodgers has stayed. I think Rodgers has stayed for the reasons that you were saying he shouldn't go to Denver. Rodgers has stayed so he doesn't have to put up with all of that shit. Now that 4 years should be just an absolute fucking cakewalk for him, because he's the best. He's the best quarterback in the NFC. And the problem is the AFC teams is still all the best quarterbacks are going to go to the AFC, because the shittest teams are also in the AFC. So the Jags and the Texans are probably the two. Jags, Texans, probably two worst teams in football. Like, the Giants, the Jets, like there you go, like the Jet, so the Giants,
I think
so
the Jets will be a lot better, but yes.
yeah, but all the best, like all the top draft picks are gonna because the NFC are all beating each other because none of us have a decent quarterback, so we're never gonna get a good quarterback out of the draft because
Right.
they're all. So all the best quarterbacks are in the AFC. So if you're an NFC team, all you have to do is find a serviceable fucking quarterback. Jimmy G, if he stays with the 49ers, is able to say he probably could be in the top 5 best quarterbacks in the NFC.
And then
That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm
and
getting
then
at.
now that you say that, okay, so that makes Kirk more valuable, right? In
Yep.
the NFC. But in the reverse, it makes him more valuable in the AFC because if you're a team who even wants to make the playoffs, you need a serviceable quarterback because there's nothing but monsters in the AFC. We want 5 first-round picks for Kirk. I'm going to pull a Bruce Arians. 5, roll them in.
It's just like Denver just looked around and went, yeah, we're fucked. Let's just give everything for Russell
If you
Wilson.
remember last year, I praised them for hiring George Payton, a vice GM at Minnesota, right? The assistant, because I believed he was involved in most of the negotiations more than Rick Spielman. I think Rick Spielman did more of the scouting for the draft. I feel like Payton did more of the player negotiations just from all the stuff I've read. I thought he was a great signing. I thought he was going to do really good things. And you can argue that he threw the draft picks, a lot of them out there, but man, he set them up to win right now.
Huge move. And their draft last year was great. They had a great draft in last year. Like Patrick Surtain is awesome. Like they did great things last year with their draft picks. Like he's been solid since he came in, and then they've just gone right. But they have a team there. That's the thing. Their roster is there.
They're going to trade Teddy for something.
Yeah, and it's like how much else are they going to get fixed now? Like realistically, like how much more have they got to fix? Like nothing really. Nothing glaringly obvious comes to mind. Maybe some defensive line rushes, but Von Miller might be going back, and yeah.
Von knew about Russell, not Aaron. Remember when you said maybe he knows about Aaron? Von knew about Russell when we posted that.
Yeah, West Coast. West Coast Alliance is right there. Yeah, Denver is scary. And Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay, which means they re-sign everybody that was there last year.
Yeah, they tagged Adams right before we came on.
Yeah, which means they're going to be the number 1 seeds in the NFC. And yeah, that's the thing. Everybody, I've seen all over YouTube that everybody's talking about Aaron Rodgers. Like that's the one that Russell Wilson is a far more interesting trade. 100%. 100% Russell Wilson is far more interesting.
So I got to get into something that's less exciting, but this whole Calvin Ridley thing, who now is suspended for all of 2022 for gambling on games when he was away from the team. And I know it's against the rules, but can we get over this? This fucking Pete Rose banned from the Hall of Fame for gambling. Nobody was throwing fucking games. If they were throwing games, I get it. But like, you're going to bait this kid for a $1,500 bet. And it obviously shows that he doesn't gamble a lot because he did a ridiculous parlay that would have never fucking hit. So he doesn't know a ton about gambling. And I get it's against the rules, but a whole year, but you can beat the fuck out of your wife or drunk drive or do something crazy and you get 6 games.
So that's the point there. The point there is the NFL have backed themselves into a corner with that. Like that they backed themselves into a corner. Calvin Ridley, you can't bet on football games, so don't fucking do it. It's have some fucking control. Bet on fucking hockey, bet on basketball. Why are you betting on football? Like there's all sorts of shit you can bet on, man. Get loads of friends over and have a poker game and lay down a $1,500 pot. Fuck it.
If you're really gonna bet, have your best friend do it for you. But okay,
it's just so dumb, and you know that the repercussions are going to be terrible. You know that they are 100% going to be fucking terrible. So why do that shit? Like why fucking do that shit? It's so fucking stupid. The problem is, very rightly, that people are people are going to bat for Calvin Ridley, saying he shouldn't be banned for as long because look what people fucking got for much bigger fucking crimes. Like, look at what people got.
Okay, so I gotta say, I agree with overtime hustling. That Calvin Ridley is an idiot for doing it. Absolutely. And make sure you check out Overtime Hustling on YouTube. Check out Turf Tales on Fridays, a couple hours after Real Talk with Jay. And tomorrow, looks like your boy's going to be on Winging It on Overtime Hustling. So make sure you check that out too. But I have to say, I absolutely agree with Overtime Hustling that he is an idiot for doing it. But like we were saying, I have a problem with the fact that you can do some really crazy shit and get 6 games, but you gamble on some shit and they're going to give you a whole year. He better win this appeal and get that thing reduced.
No, I disagree. I'd ban the fuck for a whole year for doing that, but then I'd ban the other fuckers for 2-3 years. Like that's the issue. That's
right, but you already set the precedent that Ray Rice knocked out his girlfriend on video 4 games. Like drunk drivers get 6. So at what point are you trying to tell me that gambling is a worse offense than beating the shit out of somebody? Only because you're worried about the brand, not because you're worried about the individual people.
Exactly. It's insane. It's fucking insane. Like the thing is with that is the only way that the NFL can ban Calvin Ridley for a year is if they come out and say, we've learned from our mistakes. Any domestic abuse, anything like that, you get banned for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, like however long they want to put it down for. But like Josh Gordon got banned for more games than some people for fucking weed. It's insane.
Well, yeah, and with Josh Gordon too, he kept repeatedly fucking up, right? So it wasn't just the one time, but Kamara's going to get suspended, but they're going to throw him on the commissioner exempt list until he goes to court. That was questioned by Overtime Hustling. He's going to get suspended, but they're going to use that weird commissioner exempt list that nobody knew about till Adrian Peterson beat the shit out of his kid. And then all of a sudden we're like, hey, we have this magical exempt list until the courts figure out what they're. This is what's going to happen to Sean Watson, too, if this court stuff is not settled. If the criminal court doesn't charge him, then it's whatever. He'll get his suspension. If they are still wafering before the season, Watson wants that $40 million, so he's going to show up, and they're going to put him on that exempt list too.
Yeah, they could also use Kamara as an example. They won't, but they could. Like that. That's what I mean. They could reset this is their opportunity to reset the precedent here. Like I'm honestly, fucking. It blows my mind how NFL players break the rules. Fuck's sake. I've just read that comment as well.
It's true, though. He did. He just caught another one on an airplane with his girlfriend or baby's mom or some shit. So, I don't know.
Just a fucking idiot. But it's just, I'm sick of NFL players. I'm sick of them not knowing the rules in games. Jay knows that's a pet peeve of mine. You're a professional football player. Know the fucking rules. And then don't break the rules outside of it either and then expect to not get suspended. So there was a spate of match fixing in cricket. It was the Pakistani cricket team. And they bowled no balls on purpose, which is it's like a ball in baseball where it's an illegal ball, basically. You're not. So bowled loads of those on purpose, but specific times in the overs where they'd agreed to bowl them, and guys had an Arab betting syndicate has betting all over. Those guys never fucking played again. Calvin Ridley did not do that. Let's get that cleared up. He's not in match fixing. He's not doing all that.
Yeah, he's not like the Black Sox of whatever year that was. Yeah,
but you can't bet on football games. And it's very clear. It's not like it's a gray area. You can't bet on American football games as an American football player. So don't fucking do it and you won't get suspended for a year.
And I agree with that. But like I said, the NFL fucked themselves so many years ago with the precedents they set. So to me, it drives me insane that right now they're saying gambling is worse than violent acts against your spouse or shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so hopefully the next time somebody is disgustingly violent to their spouse, they get the fuck it. Shit. Hopefully the next time somebody is disgustingly violent, I can't say that with a smile on my face. That'll make me look really bad. Hopefully the next time somebody's disgustingly violent to their spouse, they'll get a bigger suspension than this. This is time to reset the precedent, NFL. I think they're kind of doing the right thing. And yeah, all you guys need British accents. It's a load of fucking fun.
Yeah, see, I'd even try, but my British accent sounds like my Australian accent, which is still really garbage. So I'm gonna just go watch Harry Potter for a week straight and come back with some fucking British accent for you. So there's a lot of crazy shit that's been going on just today, and we haven't even got to free agency yet. So Maddie and I disagree on Calvin Ridley.
Well,
we both we do, because
I think we agree that
like 4 games can be back, but I don't find it as big of a deal. I get it was wrong, but whatever. You think they should reset the whole thing with it, which I'm cool with your point. We both agree that Russell Wilson was probably the biggest news of the day because of how it's like changing the quarterback scenario and
it just changes everything in both conferences.
And Rodgers is gonna get paid. Like for real paid.
That's 150. What is it? 153 million guaranteed. Fuck.
That means if his arm falls off the day after he signs it, it still pay me 153.
Yeah, and it's like Dak got 75 million guaranteed last year, and everybody their minds were getting absolutely blown. This makes Dak Prescott look like a bargain. This is what happened when Dak Prescott signed. Do you remember when Dak signed and we were like, actually, this is going to look fine in 3 years. Like in 3 years, we're not going to be too bothered about this because Rodgers just goes and gets 200 million over 4 years. Insanity.
I know a lot of people are mad about the Rodgers money, but I'm like, okay.
He's put out a tweet saying it's not true. Rodgers saying he hasn't signed anything yet.
Sure. He got traded to Denver for a fuckload of picks and players.
Yeah. Yeah. But Aaron Rodgers has put out on Twitter that he hasn't signed that contract yet. That's not his.
Yeah, that's why I said I think it's more going to be that 6 year with all the money up front with 2 void, and that's going to be the argument that it's not the same because he's being team friendly about it. But that just means he's going to collect some money while sitting at home 2 years after his career is done.
Yeah, I mean it's still more team friendly than what he could have been. I'm surprised with how team friendly this fucking thing is for Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, all right, Maddie. This shit's just going to keep coming, so we'll get more into other stuff coming up. Like you said yesterday, this is minus the actual football games. This is the best time of year for football. And it's absolutely the best time for podcasters and like football nerds who get into the stats, the draft, all that kind of stuff. So, man, we ain't into the free agency or the draft yet, and look what's popping off.
Yeah, I know. I'm so fucking excited. And I need to keep on doing these late nights, guys. And as you can tell, for the past how many videos have I done now where I've been ill? I feel like I've been constantly ill for the past 2 weeks. But buy us a coffee to keep us awake during those during these 10 o'clock interviews, 20 to 10 interviews that we're doing.
So, Maddie, before you get out of here, tell people about Travel Story Society.
Oh shit. Yeah. I run a website called the Travel Story Society, if you didn't all know. And it's really good. It's basically loads of people come and they share their travel stories. And we also host a podcast where you come on and where we get guests and they come on, they tell us their favorite travel stories. They tell us about their favorite foods that they've eaten on their travels. They tell us about their favorite countries that they've been to, those kind of things. We have loads of really fucking interesting guests all the time. We have loads of really interesting guests all the time. It's great. And I'm bringing my show where it's just Matty's Travel Stories, to the Yankee and the Brit Umbrella. So that's just going to be me just talking through my travel stories for 5-10 minutes a show. And hopefully you guys will get some laughs.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for MMA Underground Weekly. We were going to have a guest from the OG Yard who is not feeling well. So Street Beef's West Coast double champ Free Smoke is stepping up. So don't miss our boy Free Smoke. I've been waiting to talk to this man. We've had a lot of great conversations through private message and in group chats, but I can't wait to speak to him. Also, tomorrow night, Winging It on Overtime Hustling on YouTube. So make sure you check that out. Then Real Talk with Jay. I'm coming with CMK Prof on Friday. And then after that, you got to check out Turf Tales. All right, Maddie, there's a lot going on. Oh, and I almost forgot. Thursday, Mark Out Podcast coming with some real hardcore pro wrestling shit.
We have shit in the works, man. This is insane. Everybody follow us on all of our things that are down here.
Yeah, YouTube it especially. YouTube.
Yeah, that one. YouTube.
And
that's
shout
the
out to OTH for helping us hit 100 subscribers on YouTube so fast. It was amazing. Thank you again.
Cheers,
all
lads.
right, guys. Oh, sorry, Maddie.
I just said cheers, lads. That's what I went for.
All right, guys. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.